Hi, I'm Rebecca, and today we are installing a Burley Dash child bike seat. With your blade or scissors, we're going to open our box. And inside, we'll find a child seat with a rack. We're going to send you the Axiom Transit rack. And in this case, this is where we're going to find our hardware. Now that we have our rack out the box, let's use a scissor to cut these zip ties so we can grab our hardware. Look inside the packaging and you'll find our hardware. To get started, we want to remove these bolts. So using either our adjustable wrench or our 8mm wrench and our 4mm Allen key, we're going to use our wrench to hold onto the nut while loosening the bolt on the other side of the rack. So now that we have our bolts off, let's take off our struts and put them to the side. And for the 4 bolts that we found inside the wrapping of the rack, we're going to take 2. The other 2 are just extra. So we have our 2 bolts. We're going to bring our rack over to the back of our bicycle. And we want to line this over our fender struts to this top bolt. So if you're facing the bike's right, it's going to be the top left bolt. With your tool, thread the bolt into the bicycle's frame. Keep it a little loose, you don't need it all the way tight. On the opposite side of your bike, you want to take your bolt with your tool and guide it into the mount. It's okay if you have to apply a little extra force to push everything together. And again, you don't have to tighten it too tight. You just want it tight enough to hold everything in place. So now that the rack is on the bicycle, we're going to take our strut, aim this bottommost mount below the rack, and guide the bolt to the nut. And we're going to do the same for the 3 remaining bolts. Now that the struts are on the rack and all 4 bolts are tightened, let's remove this bolt with your 4mm Allen key. Now that this bolt is out, let's level our rack and push the strut down, lining up the strut with the bolt mount. We're going to take our bolt and our 4mm Allen key, and we're going to start to tighten this bolt here. Not all the way tight, but just enough. Once we're done with this side of the bicycle, let's do the same on the opposite. Now that all of our bolts are on their correct place, let's go in and make sure everything is nice and tight. Now that we have the rack installed on the bicycle, let's take out our child seat. We can cut off the manual and the little foam protector right here. If you look underneath your child seat, you will notice this is the mount that's going to attach to the rack. Be mindful of the straps, keep them in the seat, take the seat facing forward on the bicycle, and place it on the rack, making sure that the clips of the bicycle seat are around your rear rack. Go to the left side of your child seat and you're going to notice this small X. This is indicating the center of gravity, and we want this X to be lined up with the back of our wheel. Once it's lined up, we can go ahead and start tightening this, turning this clockwise. Now that the child seat is tight on the rack, let's go ahead and loop around our straps, close the buckle, and tighten this end of the strap. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen.